Hello everyone, today I'm going to be talking to you all about how I convert the BCB comic dubs to 3D using OWL 3D. The first step is the longest, actually finishing the dub, collecting all the voices, all the editing, the sound mixing, the original score, the credits, so on and so forth. For Confrontation, this was only 31 pages, plus the credit sequence. For Silver Shore, this is 138 pages, spread over 2 parts, and the credit sequences for both parts. Today, since Confrontation is actually finished, we're going to be focusing on that, though Silver Shore is currently being worked on. However, we will be briefly looking at Silver Shore to see a few different problems that arose converting that one versus converting Confrontation, since Silver Shore was way more complex. Converting these dubs is not as simple as putting the finished video through OWL 3D. Not only do I think my computer would not be able to handle it, it would require me to have it running for hours on end, maybe even days, and this would impact my other workflows and projects. This isn't a fault of OWL 3D, but of my GPU and CPU, which, while decent, aren't rated for AI. I want to note that OWL 3D has recently been updated to improve render times. All the same, instead of rendering it out as a video, each individual frame is screenshotted and sorted into pages. Then they are put through OWL 3D 5 at a time. I only have the free version for now. When converting images, I have the settings put to the lowest possible strength, though this still does often result in stronger 3D than I would like. I also use the balanced 3D model, as precision does not work properly yet, and in the most recent version of OWL 3D, it's not even an option. The reason I am choosing to convert these dubs now is because OWL 3D has greatly improved since I first talked about it. Seeing how refined the 3D process has become, I decided now was the right time. You may remember conversions that I did by hand for this comic, but I was limited to pop-up book-looking visuals, and each frame took a long time to cut out and color in behind the cutout areas. OWL 3D does all of this for me, with the added benefit of the depth map. I have the converted images output as left and right images. Once each page has been screenshotted and converted, I input both the left and right images into Movie Studio 13 and combine them into a stereo 3D subclip. OWL 3D has a tendency to push everything out of the frame, so I use the Stereo 3D Adjust tool to push the panels back into the frame. This is the result. You may notice there are anomalies on the edges of the frame, so these are covered up with background panels. This serves 2 purposes. It fills in the sides of the panels so there isn't just a black void around them, and it acts as a floating window of sorts. After this, the anaglyph and side-by-side versions are screenshotted and saved to be slotted in over the 2D version of the dub later. However, some shots in the dubs have movement. For these moments, the shots in question are rendered in 2D on their own, and then the entire area of movement is framed and screenshotted. This screenshot is what is put through OWL 3D just like the others, and combined as a Stereo 3D subclip as well. The next thing to do is reframe the screenshot and match move it with the moving clip we rendered earlier. The background panels are added and animated as needed, and then each moving shot is rendered out. The finalized anaglyph and side-by-side screenshots and moving panels are then added in over the 2D version of the dubs in separate video channels. The base dub provides the template for the timing of each panel. 3D versions of the opening titles and logos are rendered out separately as well and placed accordingly. For the credits sequence of Confrontation, the transparencies made for the characters are converted, the backgrounds from both the left and right images are removed to regain their transparencies and are made as stereo subclips. These are then match made to the original transparency animations, like with the moving panels. Once the credit sequence is converted to 3D, that too is rendered in anaglyph and side-by-side and inserted into the rest of the dub accordingly. After that, everything is rendered out and any errors found while watching the final product are fixed and refined, and that's that. Silver Shore is a far more ambitious endeavor and has posed new challenges for the conversion process. It makes use of green screen elements, which have to be converted and rendered separately, and then using chroma key, the black background is removed and the video is then slotted into the appropriate place. Silver Shore also makes use of overlaid panels, which had to be converted and turned into transparencies to be overlaid back in. Some of these panels move and had to be match moved in the main dub file as well. The other issue I came across was how Movie Studio 13 handles transitions, specifically when it comes to the side-by-side screenshots. Instead of both sides of the screenshot getting linear wiped at the same time, it wiped them one at a time. This meant that these panels had to be edited separately and rendered as a video to be inserted back into the main dub. As As Silver Shore has not been completed yet, there may be more problems yet to be solved. There are 9 sections of varying length for this dub, not including the credit sequences. There are some issues Owl 3D still has, like with the program not rendering objects in the correct place on the Z-axis, but these issues are far and few between, and this is also probably because the comic's art style is pretty rough and loose. All in all, for every 3D frame of the final dub, there are 6 images that go behind it. The initial 2D frame, the 2 left and right converted frames, the background floating window images, and the final screenshot for either the Anaglyph 3D or side-by-side versions. Now multiply that by how many panels there are in the dub. The mid-credit scene alone had 50 base images, meaning that to finish that one page, it required 300 images. And so there you go, that's the process it takes to convert these dubs to 3D. It does take a long time, but I have been very thrilled about how Owl 3D has handled these panels. Hopefully you guys will be too. With all that being said, I will see you all next time, and you have a great day.